All right, welcome to the Ascend B2B Sales Podcast. It is Thursday, July 6th. Woo, we are flying through the summer already. And I'm your host, James Jacoby. Today, we are going to talk about how to build a high-performing sales team. It's important. It's difficult. We're going to get into the weeds. We'll start right after this. All right, welcome guys to the Ascend B2B Sales Podcast. I'm your host, James Jacoby, and today we are talking about how to build a high-performing sales team within your company. You may be a sales leader, you might be the business owner, either one of you can do that, or you might have a bigger team that does this for you. But whether you already have a team that you just want to be better, or you're thinking about building one, we're going to cover really the big best practices that you need to revisit all the time as you do this, because it's essential. It's not a one and done thing. These are going to be things we discussed today that are really systems. These are systems that you need in your business to make this work. It is arguably one of the hardest things to build in a company. Really, it's one of the hardest things to build and sustain, because it's like watering a garden, right? You can't build your garden and have the best plants from the best places, and you don't fertilize it, you don't water it regularly. Guess what happens? The garden dies, right? So building a sales team, like any team, but especially a sales team, takes a lot of nurturing. It takes a lot of focus. It takes a lot of strategy, and it takes a lot of consistency and clarity and focus. So we'll get into a lot of this over the podcast in the next 15, 20 minutes, but I wanted to start with that because that's the reality, guys. And, you know, we talk about this a lot with our clients, but building a sales team can be extremely expensive. You know, if you look at your options, you need a sales leader. If not yourself, you need to hire a sales leader. And then you got to have at least a couple people under that person to really start a small nucleus team. And if you look at salary.com, or, you know, look at just the going rate out there of what those positions cost, W-2 wise, you know, you're looking to put about a few $100,000 out there in just 1 year to fund all that. So, like, if you're starting from the ground up with a go-to-market, that's the reality of funding you're going to need to even put that into play. And then it goes into what's your go-to-market strategy, what are the things that you're going to put into place to train your people as fast as possible, effectively, so that you can start making an impact and a dent in your marketplace with actually selling, getting some momentum, and building a nice pipeline of sales for the business. So there's a lot of layers to this, guys, that I feel are often overlooked. They're not talked about enough. And there's a lot of maybe misconceptions or misunderstandings about what it really takes to build a highly effective, high-performing team. It's not this like genie that you just hire some salespeople and you have some cool even playbooks that you just like, look, here's the process, here you go, here's our clients, here's our scripts, just go. Like, it doesn't work like that, unfortunately, right? Like, if it were that easy, I think more people and more businesses would be doing really, really well right now. But the fact of the matter is, it's not that easy. And so we're going to get into 3 systems today that I'm going to have you take some notes on. And I'd love your feedback on this. If you guys are building a sales team yourself right now, you've done this before, you found things that work for you. I'd love for you to chime in on the comments. Send me a note after the podcast. Would love to hear from you. But I'm going to give you 3 systems today that you need to have in your business in order for this to work, or it won't work. I guarantee you it won't work. And I'm going to share with you some stories too that I've gone through of things that didn't work for me, and I'll tell you why, and I'll tell you some things that have worked for us at Ascend, and that's why. So I'm preaching, I'm eating my own cooking, but here we go. So system number 1 is hiring and onboarding. Hiring and onboarding. You got to have a system for this, from end to end. Like, and that's really I hit on this every week, but this one today a lot. I'm gonna hit on systems, meaning like if you got to be able to basically type out, step by step, how you do all of this. Because if you can, one, great job. Like if you can step everything out that we're going to get into right now, and you have a process for this, or you know what to do, and you can write it out and say, here's how we do this, and you know what you're doing, and you're doing it, amazing. Like you are way ahead than most companies, and you're probably seeing some really good results from that. And then we just got to talk about optimization. But if you're not doing any of this, then this is definitely the best place to start, is literally just get on a whiteboard or on a piece of paper or on a Word document, wherever, and start stepping out all the things you got to do to make this happen. So hiring and onboarding, what are the steps, right? Like you got to have some job ads out there. I like doing LinkedIn. LinkedIn's worked really well for me at Ascend. We get tons of applicants from that, and it doesn't cost a lot of money. Like I definitely recommend don't do free promotion. Definitely promote it. Spend some money. It doesn't cost a lot. I mean, you can even do a couple $100 for maybe 4 or 5 days, and just in 4 or 5 days, you will get a good amount of leads coming in of applicants to consider for your job. Depends on what the job is, obviously, but we're talking about sales. So like you will get a lot of sales applicants, especially if you have embraced the change since 2020, where we're all virtual now, where there's a hybrid piece to this. If you can put in your business a way where you don't have to be in the office every day, and you can do remote workers in the United States. I mean, if you're calling out the United States, there's options there too. We have actually an onshore and offshore team at Ascend, which we can talk about if you're interested in that. But remote work is huge. Like that is the new unspoken benefit that everyone wants. Like if you are allowed to hire people that don't have to be in your office or anywhere close to your office, they can work across the country and still do it. I'm telling you, you're going to get a lot more applicants and better talent, because there's people that want that are really good, that just want to work from home and do their work and be done with it and make good money, help you, help them. You're going to get a lot of people that will want to work for you. So please consider that. If you think that's not possible, I'm telling you that it is. I run a completely remote team at Ascend. No one comes into the office ever. And we have an awesome virtual culture, which I'll get into today. But that is the way to do business, guys. If you want to be competitive with talent, you got to figure out a way to have a really strong virtual culture, and it works wonders for work-life balance, motivation, energy, everything. So hiring and onboarding, how are you getting the job ads out there? And then what's your process, right? So there's got to be some level of screening process. I was in the staffing and recruiting business for like 11 years. I've interviewed thousands and thousands of people in my career. We had a very rigorous process in my company that I was in before, and that led to a lot of success. Like the better you screen a front, shocker, like the better you're going to get good candidates that come work for you. So you may not have a lot of time to do that, which is, why we got hired all the time to be in staffing and recruiting to do it for other people. But if you're not in a place to spend a ton of money having someone else recruit for you and screen people, you can do it yourself on a low cost budget. It's not that hard, but you got to leverage technology today. So like I talked about this with a prospective client last week, where they need to do more outreach, more get their name out there, but they don't have a lot of time. Good news is, with platforms like Go High Level that we love to use and some other things, you can create a really nice hiring funnel, if you will, that is mostly automated. Like, you can get it to the point where you filter out 90% of your applicants automated wise, and then you step in and take the last 10%. That's worth your time, right? So think about systems of hiring and onboarding where literally you could have your job ad, you could have people apply, you could have people then get an automated message that says, thank you for applying. The next step in our process is go to our landing page, we won't call it that, but send them to a VSL. We love VSLs, video sales letters, or a page where it has a video and then an action step or a form to fill out. Send people to go watch something about your company and learn about that. Tell them about what the opportunity is, and then have them fill out a form that has some important information you need to know and next steps. We do this for hiring. It works really, really well. We were able to filter out 90% of our applicants just from that alone. And we get people that apply that are highly vetted. They've watched the video, they've followed the steps, they're engaged, and then you got to move. So, think about, what do people want to know when it comes to the job, especially with sales? You got to have a great sales comp plan. You got to have a great sales comp plan for people to attract sales talent. So there's different ways to do that, but you want to have a way so that, one, people can see themselves making decent money even early on within the first 2-3 months, some decent ramp up pay, and then really good on track earnings for the end of the year. So what does it look like in a year to work at your company? How much money do they make? What's the commission? What's the bonus? What's the salary? There's a lot of different things you can leverage there, you can play with. If you want to chat offline with me about what we do, I'd be happy to share that with you. It's worked well for us. But you want to have a nice sales comp plan put in place that you can talk about, that you can show on paper and walk people through, like, hey, here's the way from day 1 to day 90 to day 180 to end of year. Here's how you make and earn this income. And here's what you need to do that. So there should be a very simple and nice roadmap that people can see and learn and understand to make money, because everyone that's in sales is doing sales and wants to make a career out of sales. They want to make money. So you got to be clear and upfront with that. That has got to be huge in your onboarding. I've seen companies where they don't even tell their salespeople what the comp plan is until they're hired, or even after they're hired. That's not good, guys. Like, that's going to kill their motivation, kill their energy. They want to know and have a lot of confidence going into this that they understand the comp plan up front, and then they understand how they're going to get trained and perform to be able to do that comp plan. So just because you hire salespeople doesn't automatically mean they're going to be great at selling and they're going to sell well what you do. They've sold maybe well what they used to do, but that doesn't mean that they're going to sell well what you have for them to sell until you train them, right? So that is system number 2, which is training and development. So you hire them, you get them in. You want to have a really seamless process for doing that, with contracts, with educating them on the company, sales comp, and then you get them in, right? So that's system number 2, is training and continuous development. I've made so many mistakes on this one, where even with experience, like knowing what I'm doing, I'm busy, I have lots going on. And if you, like, for example, I'll tell you some mistakes I've made in this department that, I definitely don't recommend doing. I bought some really, really good, it's good content, like sales training content that can supplement my time. I can send it to my team. I had them watch that and be like, cool, you watch that module, awesome. Now you know how to do that. Let's move on to the next thing. And literally I had my hires at the time watch a ton of sales training content, and just to get through that. And then we would move to making them go live and get on the phones and do stuff. that was like the biggest waste of the first 2 weeks of time I could possibly give my team. It literally produced nothing. The retention was, virtually nil, or it didn't really help them in the job. Um, Here's my advice on training and development. Unless you have a trainer, if you're a small business, you probably don't have one. It's probably you, the business owner, or your VP of sales. But either way, best advice, guys, on teaching people to sell what you do in your company: get into the weeds, get into the foxhole with them, and stay there. Like, these are your most valuable assets that can produce top line revenue in your business. These assets and resources, human capital, these are investments that you are making, and they're people. They have emotions. They need to be. They need motivation. They need accountability. They need relationship there. There's got to be some relationship capital in this too. It's not like buying a piece of tech. These are real people, right? So like, you got to spend time with them. You got to spend time with them. You got to spend time with them to build the culture up, and to build and to learn about them, what makes them tick and what motivates them. Why are they even here today? What do they care about? What are they really good at? What don't they like to do? You got to spend some time with your people. And that was the biggest shift I made to start seeing some serious change in our team's performance. Was I started spending like 2 to 3 hours a day with my team, because they needed it, like, especially in the first few weeks. Like, everyone's different, but like, if you want to have a really fast ramp up time, then spend a lot of time early. Like, if you want to have a longer ramp up time, meaning longer ramp up time for you and them to see results, then don't spend time with them early, and then roll the dice. Because, I can guarantee you that if you spend more time up front early with each hire you make, and really make sure that they're learning all the systems, all the processes, all the things that need to happen to make them successful, then chances are they're going to be successful. Shocker. Like, you can like work with them in the CRM. You can work with them on scripts, on messaging, on like their understanding of your business or your client's business, whatever they're selling. Like, and then outside of business stuff, like just spending time with them to learn about them, and build some camaraderie, build some connection, some culture. These people are going to love to work for you. Like, they want to work for people that care about them, that have their best interests, that are showing them pathways to make good money and do well at their job, and have systems and processes in the business to follow, so that they can just run the same play every day. That's going to build a lot of confidence with your team. It's going to be able to have your team teach each other, because if you have systems in your business that this is how we do things here, this is how we sell, this is how we do all the little pieces in the CRM of moving leads and following up with leads, and here's how we huddle every day. Like, there's so many systems in the business that you need to build here as a sales team. But if you do that with them, and you get their feedback, oh my goodness, they're gonna build your company more faster for you than you could yourself. Because guess what? They got a lot of ideas, and that's system number 3 is training continuous development. Like, figure out again, what is the desired outcome in the first 30 days? What's the desired outcome in the first 60 days? And then what's really the steady state of performance? But it shouldn't be like 0 to 90 in like, first 30 days. Like, that's not realistic, right? Like, you're not going to have someone hit their KPIs like in the first 30 days from like total optimization. Like, they're perfect, they're killing it. It's not realistic. Like, you want to build some ramp up time. If you Google what's the ramp up time, for salespeople out there, it depends on the industry and it depends on what you have them doing, but it's anywhere from like 3 to 9 months. it's a long time. So if you don't have that kind of time to spend or delay results and getting them trained and ramped up, then you need to really put in place some of the things I'm telling you today. Is like, you got to spend a lot of time early, because even though it's a lot of your time, it's going to pay off if you use it well. If you have a couple things in mind, right? If you have the intention of building good culture, if you have the intention of getting to know these people, if you have the intention of training them on everything they could possibly need to know to do this job really, really well, and then show them. Like, one of the things that I do is I'm huddling every day with my team. We have a morning and a night huddle every day that we do every single day. We're talking about situational things all the time. We're talking about certain leads, certain deals, certain things that we're learning. We're talking about different best practices and pathways with using the CRM and process stuff that can just always be optimized. Like, we're talking about that stuff every day. And they're giving me feedback on all that, on what they think is good or what's working for them. And there's an ebb and a flow, right? Like, you don't want your people to not be accountable. They need to be accountable with results, but there's also, you need their input, because they are in the system every day, using it, running into walls with things that don't work, having success with things that do work, and you're getting feedback on what's good, what isn't good every day. Like, if you can have that type of hyper feedback chamber in your business, you will build a very optimized, high performing sales team very quickly. Quickly meaning, give yourself 3 to 6 months range to see some serious headway. You will see some serious headway in a 3 to 6 month window of doing this. I would even say you would see some serious headway in the first 45, 60 days if you do what I'm talking about in this podcast, because your team is going to help you learn more than you even knew about your business and how the sales systems in your business work and don't work, and what needs to get fixed right away. Luckily for me, I am, not to toot my own horn, but I'm pretty techie, and I'm really savvy with our sales softwares, our CRMs, and I'm really good on the fly with selling. And so I have a lot of different things that I'm capable of changing quickly in our business. If you don't have that skill set, then you really, I would highly recommend you have some strong digital marketers on your team that can handle some of the digital marketing tech stuff for you. And also, if you're not strong on the sales development side, that's not your forte, that's not your background. Again, you want to have a partner, or you want to have a leader that can bring that into your company, because you definitely need sales development strategy mindset, as well as the tech marketing piece as well, to put all that together to have an effective sales system in your business. So I built Ascend because of my background, and I have a lot of that I automatically have from all the 15 years of doing this. But if you don't have those skill sets, you really need those in your company, so that you can harness an ecosystem that's really tight of lead gen marketing, all the way through to prospecting, sales development, and sales and close deals. So hopefully your salespeople that you're hiring bring a lot of that skill set to the table too. Like, they're bringing value to the company, but you definitely want to have at the leadership level those components to make this the most effective for you. So clear goals and incentives is the last thing here, system 3. And this is just, man, I can't tell you how much better it is if you tell your team, listen, here's our plan, here's our vision for July, for August, for the quarter. Here's where I see you growing in the next 90 days. Like, paint the vision for the company and paint the vision for themselves and where you see your team. That's really motivating for people to hear, because they can be like, all right, cool, I see that. Yeah, that's in line with what they want. Like, awesome, we're on the same page. We're like rowing in the same boat together. Perfect. Like, now we're starting to set some goals after this. Now we got the vision. Now it's the goals. and it's the incentives. Like, cool, we know where we want to go. And you, the business owner, I'm sure you've done some Q3 planning already. You know where you need to be in terms of revenue for the month, number of meetings that you need to get booked so you can have some good sales calls, client delivery, all those things. You kind of have a nice view of what you want there. Now it's time to put those into action with goals and incentives so that we can keep people accountable. We can measure stuff that helps us stay on track towards our outcomes with our sales team, and we can push. But we can have fun. We can do both at the same time. We want to have fun. We want to learn every day. We want to learn and grow every single day as a team, and we want to push. And we want to raise the bar, move it up. Keep moving people up, not down, as you elongate their time in your company. It's okay to be at a certain place in the first 2 weeks, but then we need to move it up because they've gained some mastery. And then they're going to gain some more mastery and learn some new things. Then we're going to move the expectation up. We're going to keep pushing up. And that's where, when we talk about high performance sales teams, how do you get there? It's a series. It's a series of little baby steps that you take every day, every week with your team, and you keep pushing the vision out a little bit more when you get to the next milestone. So think about on this topic here, think about daily and weekly milestones for your team, especially when they're young, especially when you have a smaller team that you're just starting out. I have so many stories of how we've milestoned out the win. What's that next win that they need to have for them to continue to grow and to develop? What's that next big win that gets them excited? It's not the one that's 3 months out from now. That's too long. It's something that they can get within the next week or a few weeks. It's what's that next big win that would push them and motivate them and incentivize them to keep doing well. So keep the goals and the incentive there, short reach. What's the payoff for getting that? We have bonuses for a lot of our milestones that are pretty enticing. People want to hit those and they're motivated by that. There's also intrinsic stuff too. People just don't want to just make money. They want to learn. They want to gain skill sets. They want to feel more competent and confident in the job. So that's also things to think about when you build goals and incentives. Is this person wants to feel better about themselves in 30 days from now than they do today. Part of that's their earnings, yes, but part of it too is, are they really, they've gotten much, much better at doing this. So how can you help them get there? That's why training development is so important, because if you're in the weeds every day and you can see where they're at, then you know what's going on. If you take your eye off the ball and you let them go and you don't look at what they're doing for like a month, I'm telling you, it can derail so freaking fast. And the next thing you know, you don't even know why things aren't working anymore, and you don't know where they're at, and it spirals quick. So daily systems and accountability is important, which is why you want to do daily huddles. You establish expectations every day for what needs to get done. For us, we do a month. So like we look at the month ahead. We know exactly what our sales need to be for the month. We look at number of new clients that we want to bring in. We look at our current clients and what we need to do there. And we break it down week by week, day by day, what you need to do to hit those monthly goals. And everyone's got accountability plans of what they need to do. In terms of sales performance, how many sales calls, how many DMs, how many emails do you need to do every day, every week? That depends on what it is that you're doing. But I will tell you that you need to measure that no matter what, because you need to know how many calls, how many DMs, how many emails do I need my guys to do up top of funnel to get us the sales? Like, what does that look like? And measure that all the time. Like, never stop measuring that. But that's your sales machine. You're working on optimizing a machine, a system. Your people are putting effort and energy into the system. But what you're really doing with all this, guys, is you're building a system that generates a lot of revenue for your company, And it's fun because guess what? You're doing it with a group of freaking awesome people that you've hired, that you've built relationships with, you've built culture with, and now you have a brand that's bigger than yourself, bigger than the person next to you. You're building this experience in your business that not only your team, goes through and feels, but your clients and the greater community that you serve. So like there's much bigger impact to all this today than we're getting into, but to make a big impact at that level, it starts with being at the micro level. And that's where the systems that we talked about today, guys, the hiring and the onboarding, the training, continuous development, and the clear goals and incentives, you build those 3 systems right, and you are like in it every day, measuring these things and perfecting them and really just got your eye on the ball, you're going to have more wins than losses. And the momentum from this is going to be astronomically huge, even within the next quarter. Like just watch what happens in the quarter from now. If you do these 3 systems right today, it'll blow your mind. So that's the foundation, guys. I hope that was helpful for you. There's a ton to go into this. But for a 20-minute podcast, I think we did a good job getting into some of the weeds with it. And if it helps you, let me know what's helpful. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back next Tuesday for more. Go crush it.